All right, welcome back to another deep dive. Today, we're going to be taking a look at current events, kind of getting you up to speed on what's happening around the world. It looks like you've pulled from a variety of sources this time, Google News, and then also some more specific things in your personalized feed. So,
Yeah, it's a pretty broad range of information I'm seeing here, and it
yeah.
looks like we have everything from, the Russia-Ukraine conflict to some really intriguing developments in U.S. politics, and even some things that touch on things like AI and the future of humanity. So,
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack.
mm.
So let's jump right in, I guess, with what's dominating a lot of the headlines, and that is the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Your news sources are recording a massive attack on Ukraine's energy infrastructure, seeing a lot of reports of missile and drone strikes hitting power grids all across the country.
Yeah, this is a pretty concerning escalation in the conflict. Targeting energy infrastructure, especially as winter approaches, has really dire implications for civilians. It disrupts heating, healthcare, communications, the things that are essential for daily life.
Yeah. And I'm seeing here reports mentioning casualties, at least 5 people killed as a direct result of these attacks.
It's a stark reminder of the human cost of this conflict, and beyond the immediate impact, these attacks could also have long-term consequences. Damaged infrastructure can take months, even years to repair, and that'll hinder Ukraine's ability to recover and rebuild.
Absolutely. The ripple effects are going to be felt for a long time.
Now, shifting gears to something that has implications for the entire world, the meeting between President Biden and President Xi.
Right.
Multiple sources are calling this a significant event, potentially their final meeting. Yeah, and with the current state of U.S.-China relations, I mean, every interaction is pretty highly scrutinized right now. With trade disputes, technological competition, the ongoing situation in Taiwan, all potential flashpoints.
Sure.
So any progress toward cooperation is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, for sure. It seems like they did find some common ground. I'm seeing reports about agreements on limiting AI and nuclear decisions. Some analysts are even suggesting these agreements might be aimed at preventing a repeat of some of the more controversial policies of the previous administration.
Interesting interpretation, for sure. Xi also emphasized China's commitment to protecting its interests in the Korean Peninsula.
Oh,
It seems like there were messages being sent both domestically and internationally.
yeah. A lot to unpack there. Okay, let's turn our attention to U.S. politics, which, as always, is never short on drama. Trump is back in the headlines with his surprising pick for Attorney General Matt Gaetz.
Yeah, a controversial choice, to say the least. Gates has been embroiled in numerous scandals, and even his own father, a prominent figure in Florida politics, was apparently caught off guard by the decision.
It really makes you wonder what his strategy is here. It seems like a risky move, especially considering the upcoming elections. Could this alienate moderate voters?
Potentially. But it could also galvanize his base, who tend to view Gates as a fighter, challenging the establishment. It's really too early to tell how this will play out.
Yeah. Speaking of potential election impacts, there's growing concern in the U.S. farm industry about Trump's embrace of RFK Jr. and his stance on tariffs. Farmers have historically been a reliable Republican voting bloc, but this could shake things up.
Absolutely. Trump's policies on tariffs and trade have already caused friction within the agricultural sector, and aligning himself with RFK Jr., whose voiced support for protectionist policies, could further alienate farmers who rely on those global markets. This is definitely a development to watch closely as the election cycle heats up.
Definitely. Okay, let's take a quick detour from the world of politics and explore some of the more unexpected and intriguing stories that caught your eye. One that really jumped out at me was the report about robotic dogs patrolling Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, robotics technology is advancing at an incredible pace, and this is a prime example of how it's starting to be integrated into security measures. It raises some interesting questions about the future of surveillance and the role of technology in law enforcement.
Yeah, it definitely makes you think about what a world with more widespread robotic security might look like. What are the potential benefits? What are the potential drawbacks?
Right. On the one hand, robots could provide a more consistent, perhaps even unbiased form of security. They don't get tired. They don't experience emotions that could cloud their judgment. But on the other hand, there are concerns about data privacy, potential for hacking, and even the possibility of these robots being used in ways that infringe on civil liberties.
It's a fascinating but complex issue. We'll definitely need to revisit this as the technology continues to develop. Another headline that caught my attention was the claim that we may have already achieved AGI, or artificial general intelligence. For those unfamiliar, AGI is essentially AI that has achieved human-level intelligence and can perform any intellectual task that a human being can.
This is a topic that often sparks debate within the AI community. Some researchers believe we are still years, if not decades away from achieving true AGI. But others argue that recent advancements in machine learning and neural networks suggest we may be closer than we think.
And if we do achieve AGI, what does that mean for humanity? It's a question that raises both excitement and anxiety.
It's certainly a topic that has captured the imagination of science fiction writers for generations. The potential benefits of AGI are vast, from solving complex scientific problems to automating tasks and creating new industries. But there are also risks to consider, such as the potential for job displacement, the ethical considerations of machines making decisions, and even the possibility of AI surpassing human intelligence and becoming uncontrollable.
Yeah, it's a lot to wrap our heads around, but it's crucial that we start thinking about these questions now so we can be prepared for whatever the future holds. All right, ready for one more fascinating headline before we move on?
Absolutely, bring it on.
Okay, this one's for the science enthusiasts. Researchers have discovered a perfectly preserved 35,000-year-old saber-toothed kitten frozen in Siberian permafrost.
Wow. It's incredible to think that this creature from the Ice Age has been preserved for so long. These kinds of discoveries offer a glimpse into the past and help us understand the evolution of life on Earth.
Yeah, it really puts things into perspective. I mean, 35,000 years. Imagine the stories this kitten could tell if it could talk.
Makes you wonder what other secrets are locked away beneath the ice, waiting to be discovered.
Speaking of secrets, there's a story in your feed about a movement that's challenging traditional societal norms and sparking a lot of conversation. The 4B movement?
Ah, yes, the movement advocating for a world without men. It's certainly a thought-provoking concept that challenges conventional notions of gender and family.
Yeah, it's sparking a lot of debate about what the future of humanity could look like. What are the potential implications of such a drastic societal shift? Would it lead to greater equality or would it create new forms of inequality?
It's difficult to predict with certainty, but it's a conversation worth having. The 4B movement, whether you agree with their vision or not, forces us to examine our assumptions about gender roles and the structures of power within our society. It challenges us to consider what a truly equitable future might look like.
It's definitely a conversation starter. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground already. International conflicts, the future of technology, and some pretty thought-provoking social movements. But we're just getting started. There's much more to explore in your newsfeed, including economic trends, fascinating scientific discoveries, and even a glimpse into the world of cryptocurrency.
It's a fascinating and complex world we're living in, and there's always more to learn. I'm looking forward to diving into the rest of these stories with you.
Me too. Let's take a quick break and then we'll be back to unpack more of these headlines and see what other insights we can uncover.
It certainly is a fascinating and complex world we're living in. And speaking of complex, let's delve into the realm of finance a little bit. You've included articles from Bloomberg and MarketWatch that paint a rather nuanced picture of the economic landscape.
Okay, so break it down for me. What's the overall sentiment? Are we on the verge of a recession or are things looking up?
Well, it's not a simple, boom or bust scenario. There's definitely a sense of uncertainty in the markets right now. Some analysts are predicting a pullback, particularly in the tech sector, while others remain cautiously optimistic about growth in other areas.
A mixed bag of signals, it sounds like. What factors are contributing to this uncertainty?
Well, several factors are at play here. Inflation is still a concern, although it seems to be easing slightly. Interest rates are rising, which could slow down investment. And then there's the geopolitical landscape, the conflict in Ukraine, tensions with China. These all create volatility and make it difficult to predict what's coming next.
It's like trying to read tea leaves, isn't it? So is there anything specific that investors are keeping an eye on right now?
One article highlights NVIDIA's upcoming earnings report as a potential bellwether for the tech sector. If their numbers disappoint, it could trigger a wider sell-off.
That makes sense. NVIDIA is a major player in the tech industry, so their performance is often seen as an indicator of overall health. What about the potential impact of a second Trump term? There's a lot of speculation about how his policies might affect the economy, particularly when it comes to cryptocurrency.
Yeah, the MarketWatch article you included delves into that very question. It seems there are diverse opinions on how Trump's approach to regulation could impact the crypto market. Some believe it could lead to greater adoption and innovation, while others fear it could create more volatility and risk.
So more uncertainty there as well. But amidst all the doom and gloom, there are also some bright spots. I see you've included an article about All-Clad having a factory second sale.
Yeah, this seemingly minor detail actually reveals a broader trend. Consumers are becoming more value conscious in this uncertain economic climate. They're looking for deals and discounts, and companies are responding by offering these sales and promotions.
It's interesting how those seemingly small things can reflect larger economic shifts. It speaks to the adaptability and resourcefulness of people in challenging times.
Exactly. It's a reminder that even in times of uncertainty, there are always opportunities for those who are willing to look for them. Speaking of finding opportunities, another intriguing story caught my eye. The rising popularity of open-source garage door openers.
Now that's intriguing. I wouldn't have expected that to be a trending topic. What's driving this surge in interest?
It seems to be a convergence of factors. Cost is certainly a consideration. Open-source options are often more affordable than traditional garage door openers. But there's also a growing desire among consumers for customization and control over their technology. Open-source software allows people to tinker with the code, personalize the features, and essentially make the technology their own.
It's like the DIY ethos is extending into the realm of technology.
Hmm.
People want to understand how things work and have the ability to modify things to suit their needs.
Precisely. And this trend goes beyond garage door openers. We're seeing it in other areas as well: smart home devices, 3D printing, even software development. It's a fascinating shift in consumer behavior, one that empowers individuals and fosters a more collaborative approach to innovation.
It's a fascinating example of how technology can democratize access and empower people to become creators rather than just consumers. Okay, time for another rapid-fire round of intriguing headlines. What do you say?
Always game for a whirlwind tour of the news cycle.
All right, buckle up. We've got a story about AI clones being used in the world of dating.
Now, that's a concept ripe with ethical and philosophical questions. Imagine being able to create a virtual companion that perfectly embodies your ideal partner. It blurs the lines between reality and fantasy in a way that we're only beginning to grapple with.
Makes you wonder about the impact on real-world relationships. Would it lead to greater fulfillment or greater isolation?
Those are important questions to consider. And while we're pondering the future of relationships, there's another headline that highlights the fragility of our digital world: the Netflix streaming issues during the Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul fight. Imagine the collective groan of disappointment from millions of fans as the fight was interrupted.
It's a stark reminder that even in an age of advanced technology, things can still go wrong. And when they do, the impact can be felt far and wide.
Yeah, it speaks to our growing dependence on technology and the potential for disruption when things don't go as planned. And speaking of disruption, there's an article about the potential impact of a second Trump term on climate change policies.
This is a topic that always generates strong opinions. Trump's stance on climate change has been controversial, to say the least. What are the key concerns being raised in the article?
The article highlights concerns that a second Trump administration might roll back environmental regulations, withdraw from international climate agreements, and prioritize fossil fuel industries over renewable energy sources. This could have significant implications for global efforts to mitigate climate change.
It's a stark contrast to the policies of the current administration, which has made climate action a top priority. It'll be interesting to see how this issue plays out in the upcoming election.
Absolutely. It's a topic that is likely to be front and center in the political debates. Okay, shifting gears to the world of politics once again, there's an article about the challenges facing Republicans in the House with their thin majority.
Governing with a slim majority is never easy. It requires compromise, negotiation, and the ability to maintain party unity. What specific hurdles are they facing?
The article highlights the difficulty of passing legislation with such a narrow margin of control. Any internal disagreements or defections could derail their agenda. And they also face the challenge of appeasing different factions within the party, each with their own priorities and demands.
A delicate balancing act. Okay, before we dive into more serious topics, let's take a quick detour into the world of entertainment. You've included an article about the return of Bad Sisters for a second season.
A bit of lightheartedness is always welcome amidst all the weighty news. It's a reminder that there's more to life than politics and global crises.
Absolutely. And speaking of things that bring joy, there's an article about the enduring popularity of the Pokemon trading card game, specifically the excitement surrounding booster packs.
A touch of nostalgia. It's amazing how certain things retain their appeal across generations. It speaks to the power of collectible items, the thrill of the unknown, and the social element of trading and sharing with friends.
Yeah, it's a reminder that even in our increasingly digital world, there's still a place for tangible objects that spark joy and connection.
Well said. And speaking of things that spark connection, there's an article about the latest developments in the Bluesky social media platform.
Bluesky. I'm not familiar with that one. Fill me in.
It's being positioned as a potential alternative to Twitter, with a focus on decentralization and user control. It's still in its early stages, but it's attracting attention for its innovative approach to social networking. Interesting. It seems like every week there's a new platform vying for our attention. What makes Bluesky stand out?
Well, it's built on a decentralized protocol, which means that no single company or entity controls the platform. This is designed to give users more control over their data and reduce the risk of censorship or manipulation.
That's definitely a compelling feature in an era where concerns about data privacy and online censorship are growing. We'll have to keep an eye on this one, see how it evolves.
Agreed. It'll be interesting to see if it can gain traction and disrupt the social media landscape. Speaking of potential disruptions, you've included an article about a research firm suggesting that Samsung might release its own version of AR glasses in 2025.
AR glasses. That's exciting. It feels like we've been hearing about this technology for years, but it hasn't quite hit the mainstream yet. Do you think Samsung has what it takes to make AR glasses a must-have device?
It's certainly possible. Samsung has a track record of innovation and a strong presence in the consumer electronics market. If they can create a compelling user experience at an accessible price point, they could be a major player in the AR space.
It's a space that's becoming increasingly competitive with companies like Apple and Meta also investing heavily in AR technology. It'll be interesting to see who emerges as the leader in this next wave of computing.
Indeed. And speaking of technology that is yet to fully materialize, you've included an article about Gabe Newell, the co-founder of Valve, discussing why Half-Life 2, Episode 3, never saw the light of day.
Oh man, that's a wound that still stings for many gamers. Half-Life 2 is considered a classic, and the cliffhanger ending of Episode 2 left fans clamoring for more. What was Newell's explanation for the project's demise?
He cited various factors, including creative differences, shifting priorities within the company, and the challenges of managing expectations for such a highly anticipated game. He also hinted that they may revisit the Half-Life universe in the future, but offered no concrete plans.
It's always a delicate balance between satisfying fans' demands and staying true to the creative vision of a project. Sometimes the stars just don't align.
It's a good reminder that even in the world of entertainment, things don't always go according to plan. But hey, sometimes the unexpected detours lead to even more exciting destinations.
That's a great way to look at it. Okay, I think we've officially reached information overload for this segment. Let's take a breath and see what other gems we can unearth from your newsfeed.
Let's dive back in and see what other insights await.
First up, some good news from the world of health and wellness. I'm seeing an article about a new study suggesting that vitamin D supplements might help reduce blood pressure.
That's encouraging news, especially for people who live in areas with limited sunlight or who have difficulty absorbing vitamin D naturally. It highlights the importance of maintaining adequate vitamin D levels for overall health.
It's a good reminder that even small changes to our diet or lifestyle can have a positive impact on our well-being. Speaking of things that lift our spirits, there's a stunning photo in your feed of a supermoon that illuminated the night sky around the world.
Celestial events like this have a way of captivating our imaginations and reminding us of the vastness and beauty of the universe.
Yeah, it's a nice break from the constant barrage of earthly concerns. Speaking of our place in the cosmos, there's an article about scientists discovering evidence of erupting volcanoes on the far side of the moon.
Volcanoes on the moon, that's incredible. It challenges our assumptions about the lunar landscape and suggests that there's still much we don't know about our celestial neighbor.
It makes you wonder what other secrets the moon is hiding. Okay, back down to Earth, and a reminder that we need to be vigilant about protecting our digital lives. There's a story about a potential Gmail leak that could expose the email addresses of billions of users.
Yeah, data breaches are becoming increasingly common, and this is a stark reminder of the importance of strong passwords, two-factor authentication, and being cautious about the information we share online.
It's a constant battle to stay ahead of the hackers and scammers. Speaking of technology that could be both beneficial and potentially unsettling, there's an article about a new system called Radar that could give robots superhuman vision using radio waves.
This is a significant advancement in robotics and could have a wide range of applications, from search and rescue operations to manufacturing and even healthcare. But it also raises concerns about privacy and the potential for misuse.
It's a powerful reminder that every technological advancement comes with both opportunities and risks. We need to be thoughtful about how we develop and deploy these technologies to ensure they are used for good.
Absolutely. Speaking of technological advancements with the potential to reshape our world, there's an article about China unveiling a quadruped robot that can traverse rough terrain at high speeds.
These types of robots have numerous potential applications, from military operations to disaster relief and exploration. It's fascinating to see how robotics is evolving and pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
It's a field that's rapidly advancing, and we can expect to see even more impressive robots in the years to come. And speaking of advancements in health and longevity, you've included an article about the potential benefits of NAD supplements.
I'm always intrigued by research that explores the frontiers of human health and lifespan. This NAD research seems like a potential game changer, but it's important to approach these claims with a healthy dose of skepticism until we have more evidence.
Absolutely. Critical thinking is essential, especially when it comes to health claims. It's important to remember that there are no quick fixes or magic bullets. Maintaining a healthy lifestyle through diet, exercise, and stress management is still the best approach to overall well-being.
It's about taking a holistic approach to health, rather than relying on any single supplement or intervention. Okay, we've explored a wide range of topics today, from the intricacies of the global economy to the wonders of space exploration, the potential of cutting-edge technology, and the importance of critical thinking. I feel like I've been on an intellectual roller coaster.
It's been a fascinating journey and hopefully one that has left you feeling more informed and engaged with the world around you.
Exactly. But before we wrap up, there's still some local news articles that you've included. I always find it helpful to kind of zoom in on what's happening closer to home after taking that broad look at the world.
Local news keeps us grounded and connected to our communities. It's a reminder that amidst all the global events, there are stories unfolding right in our own backyards.
Okay, let's see what's been happening in and around Castle Rock lately. Well, there's a report here about a pretty serious motorcycle accident that caused a major shutdown on I-25. Sounds like at least one person was hospitalized.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. It's a reminder to be extra cautious on the roads, especially for motorcyclists who are just more vulnerable.
Absolutely. And on a lighter note, it looks like development in Castle Rock is expected to kind of plateau in 2024. I'm curious what factors might be contributing to this trend.
Well, there could be a number of reasons for that. It could be related to shifts in the housing market, changes in zoning regulations, or even just a deliberate effort to kind of manage growth and preserve the town's character. It would be interesting to dig deeper into the local planning documents and really understand the rationale behind this projection.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that even seemingly local decisions are often influenced by those larger trends and forces. Okay, one last local story that caught my eye. The future of Castle Rock's Lost Canyon Ranch open spaces.
Ah, yes. The ongoing challenge of balancing conservation with development. Open spaces are so vital for the health of our communities. They provide recreational opportunities, they connect us with nature, and they help preserve biodiversity. It's encouraging to see that Castle Rock is prioritizing the preservation of these areas.
It definitely speaks to the values of the community. All right, I think we've officially covered everything in your news roundup. What a whirlwind tour of current events it's been. We started with the global stage, explored politics, technology, science, even touched on a bit of philosophy, and then zoomed in on what's happening right here in our own backyard.
It's been quite a journey, hasn't it? We've explored stories that are shaping our world, from those international conflicts to the frontiers of artificial intelligence and the ongoing quest to understand our place in the universe.
Yeah, and I feel like I've learned so much, and hopefully you do too. It's amazing how interconnected everything is, even seemingly disparate events like a motorcycle accident in Castle Rock and a meeting between world leaders.
Exactly, and that's the beauty of exploring current events. It's not just about staying informed, it's about connecting the dots, seeing the bigger picture, and understanding how the world is constantly evolving.
And hopefully this deep dive has given you a fresh perspective and some food for thought as you continue navigating this complex world.
Perhaps it's even sparked some curiosity to delve deeper into the topics that resonated most with you. Whether it's the future of artificial intelligence, the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, or those challenges facing your local community, there's always more to learn and explore.
That's the key takeaway. Never stop learning, never stop questioning, and never lose your sense of wonder about the world around you.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this journey of discovery. Until next time, stay curious and stay engaged.
And that's a wrap on another deep dive. We'll catch you next time with a fresh batch of headlines and insightful conversations.